Today we are talking about onboarding, and some people might like to use the term intake, but I like to use the term onboarding because even if you don't know what that is, you will be doing that process in one way or another. So what is onboarding? For me, onboarding is taking somebody from an inquiry all the way to becoming a client. So today I'm going to talk about the reasons to have an onboarding process, some decisions you need to make, and also what my ideal onboarding process is. But before we get to that, for those of you who don't know me, my name's Kim. I help therapists in private practice get online, get confident with admin, and reduce tech overwhelm. If you're enjoying these videos so far, I'd love it if you would subscribe to the channel and also share it with any of your therapist friends. So if you're in private practice, you will be doing onboarding in one way or another. Even if you don't have a formal process for this, you will be taking somebody from an inquiry to becoming a client with you. And there may be steps that you do take in that, or maybe it's just a natural process. There are lots of reasons why I think you should have a formal process for this. The first reason is because it shows that you take your practice seriously and that you are a professional. There are loads of therapists in private practice, and it's really hard for somebody who's looking for a therapist to know who has the right qualifications, what an accreditation is, etc. So having a formal onboarding process will really put a potential client's mind at ease that you are a professional and that you know what you're doing. Creating a formal onboarding process means that it is a repeatable process that you can have automations for, templates, and that even in the circumstance that you don't take a client on from June to December, you would still be able to follow the same process and know exactly what you're going to do to onboard that client. It reduces overwhelm for the client. If they know exactly what's going to happen, they are much more likely to come to that first session and carry on with therapy with you. If you have paperwork in place, if you have an easy way for them to complete that paperwork, if they know where they have to go to have therapy with you or how they're going to get their online link, having all of the information that they need up front is really going to help reduce that overwhelm. It can also help you to set expectations and put in your boundaries up front. We're going to talk about some of the policies and procedures that you need to think about ahead of having an onboarding process, and this will really help you put those in place, such as letting the clients know what will happen if they don't attend a session or if they cancel with late notice. Having worked with therapists over the past 6 years, I have found that by implementing these onboarding procedures that there is a higher client retention rate. Clients are coming to their first sessions and they are staying longer. There are some decisions that need to be made ahead of you having an onboarding process. So I'm going to go over a few of these with you. The first one is having all of your policies in place. What is your cancellation policy or your no-show policy? How would you like to be communicated with outside of sessions? And can clients reschedule sessions? Do you have a reduced fee program for somebody that can't pay your full rate? All of this information will go into your onboarding process, whether that's via some paperwork or a welcome email. So you do really need to know what these are in advance. The second thing to think about is your invoicing process. How would you like your clients to pay you? Are they paying by session? Are they paying on a month-by-month basis? And how would you like to be paid? Are you wanting clients to send you batch transfers, or do you have an invoice processor like Stripe or PayPal to accept payments? What happens if somebody doesn't pay? What is your non-payment procedure? Will you be accepting third-party payments? So these will be from guarantors such as parent, and how will you manage that process? Also, do you accept medical insurance, and how are you going to get the policy information from your clients? And then my favorite topic, systems. How are you going to put all this together? How are you sending emails to clients? How are you sending them your appointments? How are you sending them your paperwork? As I've talked about on this channel a lot, you can use Google Workspace to complete all of this for you. And I have loads of videos that I can link in the description below if you want to learn more about Google Workspace. But there are other systems that you can use. So just having a system in place is a really good start. So now I want to talk to you about an onboarding process that I recommend. The first part of this process is the inquiry itself. How are you getting those inquiries? What I suggest is that all inquiries come through to your email so that you can manage everything in one place. If you're getting DMs or text messages, it's really easy to lose track of who has inquired and what you've said to them. So I would say the first thing to do is, however you get the inquiry, move them to your email. Either ask them to email you or ask for their email address so that you can contact them from your email. The next step is whether you do an intro call or a screening call, or you have some kind of communication with them to understand whether they are a good fit for your practice and whether you are a good fit for them. A lot of therapists I work with do offer a free 15-minute introductory call, and I think this is a really good thing to do. The majority of therapists I work with just do an actual phone call with regard to this, whether you work face-to-face or online, and that seems to work really well for people. The next stage of the onboarding process is a welcome email. This welcome email is going to contain all of the important information that your clients are going to need to know before their first session. It can also include links to paperwork, or it can explain to them how they are going to get their paperwork. So things I would include in the welcome email are confirmation of their first session, the date and time, confirmation of the address that they need to go to, or how they will get their online link, what your invoicing process is, and if you want them to pay upfront for the session, I would also put your bank details on there or a link to be able to pay for the session. On this welcome email, I would also include your cancellation policy and also how they can contact you outside of sessions. Although all this information will be in your paperwork, I would put it on the welcome email just because it's much more likely that they're going to read this full email to get all of the information rather than just opening some paperwork, signing it and not really reading it. Like I said in my introduction, this can really reduce overwhelm so that they understand exactly what's going to happen in their first session, how they're going to attend the session, how they're going to pay for it, and it can answer a lot of questions that they might have. The next part of the onboarding process is actually sending the paperwork. Now, I always recommend sending it electronically, and there are a few ways that you can do this. The first way is just having like a Word document or a Google Doc that you can send to them and then they fill it on online. That is the most basic way, but I don't think it's the most professional. The second way is creating a Google form. So what you would do is create all your paperwork on the Google form. You can send the client the link to that and they can complete it online. And the third way is using an e-signature platform like Signable so that you can send the paperwork to them and they can complete it online and sign it electronically. I love Signable because it has a pay-as-you-go option, which is perfect for therapists in private practice. And I do have a video all about Signable, which I will link in the description below. I do recommend sending the paperwork ahead of their first session and asking for it to be completed in advance so you don't have to waste time completing it in the session itself. And the last part of the onboarding process is how you're going to store all this data. As I've said before, I love Google Workspace because you can do all of this on there. You can create client files and upload copies of the paperwork into their client file so you'll always know where it is and it's secure. You can have a client master list, which is a log of all of your clients from inquiries, your waiting list, your current clients you're working with, and also past clients. Having everything in one document is really great to understand how your practice is running. I have a video explaining what the client master list is, and I also have a free template for you, which I will link everywhere. I think the onboarding process is one of the most important things that you can do in your practice. First of all, because you have to make so many decisions before you can do your onboarding that you've basically created your practice vision just by doing the onboarding process. In my private practice workflow freebie, there are 7 steps to the client journey, and even though onboarding is the second step, you do that last because you have to make all of the decisions about your practice before you can create your onboarding process. I hope you found this video useful and it's given you loads of tips to create your own onboarding process. I'd love to hear about it in the comments. Thanks for watching.